know a lot of us are struggling. We're out of jobs. Man, I gotta be honest, I kind of miss working in the service industry. I haven't done it in a couple years. I used to work at a restaurant back in New York where I used to live. And I don't know, I had to quit though. I had to quit. I just didn't have the mental fortitude to work in a restaurant day in and day out. But I miss it, you know, it was fun sometimes, sort of, comparatively. Comparatively it was fun. You know, like when you're working, it's like, like when you're working, it's like you get there, you're starving, I'm working, so I hate you. And it's Sunday brunch, so we're both hungover. But like, let's be honest, I work in the service industry. When am I not hungover? And then before I can tell you about the gluten-free menu, you cut me off and you're like, I need a Bloody Mary stat. And I'm like, I hear that, girlfriend. And you're like, what? And I'm like, sorry, sir, I'll be back with the Bloody Mary. And then I go and I get you the Bloody Mary, and you're like, now I need an egg sandwich. So I go and I get you the egg sandwich, and then I come back and you say, I'm so sorry, but is bread gluten-free? And I'm like, well, if I could have told you about the gluten-free menu, but also I don't know. So I go into the kitchen and I go, hey guys, is the bread gluten-free? And they're like, Will, you've worked here for 5 years. When are you going to learn the menu? And the answer is, I'm just not going to. So I come back. So I come back and I lie to you and I say that the bread's not gluten-free. And you go, that's okay. I want an Eggs Benedict hollandaise sauce on the side. And I'm like, hollandaise sauce on the side? That is a sociopath kind of order, but whatever. I'm working for fucking you. So then I go back and I put the order in, and it comes out and you go, I'm so sorry, but this is cold. And you're not wrong, because we sent you the one that was sitting out from the last order I fucked up. Then before I go to tell the kitchen, I go into the linen closet and I grab the handgun I've been hiding in case my manager finally pushes me too far. And then I hold it against my head and I say, is today the day? But it's not that day. And then I go back to the kitchen. And then I go back in the kitchen and I say, hey guys, I said the Eggs Benedict is cold. And the chef, he goes down to the freezer and he grabs the handgun he's been hiding in the Brussels sprouts. And he says, is today the day I kill Will Abeles? But it's not that day. So he leans down. So he leans down, he grabs a bottle of whiskey labeled Daddy's Juice, and he takes a swig of it. Now he's feeling good. And he comes up in the kitchen, he says, I need an Eggs Benedict on the fly. And the kitchen cheers, and I come out to your table and I'm like, hey guys, food's gonna be right out, but the next round of Bloody Marys, that's on me. And all of a sudden you guys like me. So now I'm taking stock of everything, and now I'm kind of pushing you to close out because I think you've had the appropriate amount of vodka to consume on the Lord's Day. So in quarantine, it's just like 10 a.m. So I start pushing you to close out the check, and you guys take the bait and you split the check. But then I hear you say, oh, let me leave the tip in cash on the entire bill. Now I have to hope that you know that you're leaving tip on the entire bill and not just your own. And that's 20% and not 18 on the entire bill and not just your own. And it turns out you do know that because you leave 30% in cash.
Fuck yeah.
I look at the cash and I look at you and I look at the cash and I look at you and I go, oh my God, thank you so much. And you go, of course, you were the best. What was your name? And I go, Will. And they go, great job, Phil. And I'm like, all right, close enough. Fade to Black, Part 2. So now I'm feeling good about myself. So I asked my manager if I could take my 15, and I'm going to go out back and I'm going to rub the money all over my face and maybe eat a little bit of it because I'm balling now. But before I do, I go and I grab the handgun so I can fire it in the air in triumph. And so as I'm going through the kitchen, that's when a bunch of ICE agents break in. And like the kitchen scatters. It's a kitchen in New York and not a diner in Wyoming. And then I realize I'm the only one standing there with a gun. So I'm looking around and like, these guys in the kitchen, these are my brothers in arms, and I have a decision to make. So I start taking out the ICE agents one by one, and I'm holding a gun like this because I've never held a gun before. And I ain't shooting to kill, but I ain't shooting to miss neither. So I subdue the targets, and I start walking out the back door, and over my shoulder I yell out, Viva la Mexico! And then the line cook Felipe is like, I'm Colombian, you dick. So now I'm a fugitive on the run. Your tip money only takes me as far as Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania before I have to turn myself in. So I go into a Panera Bread so I get my favorite meal of a half sandwich, half salad. But yeah, that's a simple meal. But I used to be a simple guy before I started working in the service industry. And right then, before I make the call to turn myself in, I lock eyes with this girl. We fall madly in love, and she's got her daddy's credit card, nothing to lose. And she calls me Bug, and I don't know why, but I fucking love it. So we go on the run together. And every time we stop, we notice the cops keep catching up to us. And that's because we're millennials. We forget that every time you swipe the credit card, they can just find out where you are. So we go all the way down to the Grand Canyon, which I know is a dead end, but I'm going to propose to her with my ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend's engagement ring that I stole from him, which, yeah, that sounds kind of mean, but he also looks exactly like me. So isn't it just our engagement ring at this point? I should probably give myself a little more credit. I've been told he looks just like me. If I got hit by a truck and then after facial reconstruction, the doctor came in and went, well, unfortunately, that's as close as we're going to get. Because that's the thing about selling for the next best thing. It ain't the best thing. Am I right, baby? Thanks for the standing ovation, everybody. Thank you. But I digress, because right now I'm standing in front of the only woman I've ever loved since. And the cops have me surrounded, so in a last-ditch effort to yell out, it wasn't me, it was the one-armed man. And they're like, that's a dated reference. And I'm like, so are your police tactics. And they're like, burn. And because it's a comic at the end of the day, right? But then instead of turning ourselves in, we run back to the car. And I say, you in it to the end, babe? And she goes, I'm in it to the end, bug. And we spin the car around. And I go flying towards the cliff's edge. And as the dust kicks up, I push her out because she's got her own life to live, And she's also pregnant with my unborn child, who my best friend's going to help raise it because he's a pretty good guy. And then we're flying over. A tear comes to my eye because I realize that today is that day. And I'm going out on my turns like I'm Ernest fucking Hemingway. And I go flying over the cliff's edge. And then right before impact, I remember that you asked for a hollandaise sauce on the side. And I still gave it to you as is twice. And you still tip 30%, and it's just like, wow, there really are good people out there. And then I miss that, I miss that day in, day out.